raining outside, but anyway, here's my setup. This is what I'm dealing with. I have that flight controller, a receiver. I have that receiver and another flight controller, similar. As you can tell, it is what it is. I have the aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, and auxiliary hooked up. Per instructions from one website, I have the motors hooked up. I have the signal wire from 3 of the 4 motors removed and taped back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next thing I'm going to do is, of course, attempt to initialize it, to calibrate it, bind it. Pay very close attention. The first thing it says to do is to plug in the battery or turn on the transmitter. Okay, here we go. I do so, and we notice nothing here. Okay, that's normal. And we go over here and we look at my radio. It is in glare, but there we go. All trims are set to neutral. Now that is verified, and you can tell, see, get real close. All trims set to neutral. We flip that off now with the throttle at the lowest. The next thing is connect the battery to this drone. Power wires right here. Pull you out. Let's see, we've got Turnigy 2200 milliamp 3-cell batteries. Plug her in. Let's see what we get. And then we turn on the remote. But we do nothing there because it says don't push anything, don't touch anything, all switches are correct, otherwise I'd be getting a switch error. Now it says it's supposed to be binding or searching for it. I turned on the radio after I waited to see the red lights on this board, and then it went blue. It said in 10 seconds that I'd hear a 2-beat tone. I'm still waiting on that. As you see, it does not happen. It's supposed to go solid red to let me know that it has successfully binded. I'm quite sure you hear that. And to get a little even more in detail here, let's see. Motor 1, all 3. Motor 2 over here. Only the signal and ground, signal and ground, signal and ground. Keep from having loops. Okay. Is the board powered up properly? Yes. Instead of JST, my flight controller board had servo size hookup. So I used servo wire to connect it for power. Same polarity, it's on there. As you see, this board will not bind. We'll take a moment here and try and correct something else. Unplug the battery, turn off my transmitter, remove the motors here. That's 1 out of position 3. That's 2 out of position 4. That's 3 out of position 5. And 4 out of position 6. The orientation of the board has an arrow facing to the front. This motor being my front left motor. So therefore in an X setup, We're going to try this again, same board. We take the front left, which has all 3 wires, and we're going to connect this now the way the second set of instructions claims that it's supposed to work. White wire inside of the board with the polarity that's listed on the board, which I wonder if anything's going to work right. In position 1. Let's see, maybe if we just go 1 through 4, it might try and work. The second motor is supposed to come from the right rear. That would be this one. And we connect it, signal inbound, into 2. Number 3, front right. And we connect that in to 3. Number 4 is this left rear. We connect that into motor 4. Make sure that they're all snug and in place. Powered up by servo fitters to fit onto my power distribution board. We check the connections from the radio. This is a Turnigy 8x receiver from the 9x8 channel, version 2. Should be aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, auxiliary. I labeled them in tape. The first on the board says aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, and aux. Tracking all of those back to the tape just to double and triple check and make sure. I don't want to be too much of an idiot here. We get this first top wire loose, and what's it say? Voila! Read the tape for labeling. That one says elevator because I had instructions that claimed that. I even wrote them down because I couldn't believe it. This is part 2. The board says that on the FF, on the board, these are your channels listed. The instructions that the link you sent me said elevator instead of aileron in 1, aileron in 2, throttle in 3, rudder in 4, and aux is 5 for calibration. The instructions you sent also said for motors, instead of 1 through 8, motor 1 went in 1, motor 2 went in 2, 3 and 4. You just saw me wire those up. So staying consistent with this one here, I'm going to make sure I put elevator in 1, aileron in 2, and here we go. Triple check. Elevator. Marked in red. Servo wire. It's in 1. Right there in 1. Elevator. Aileron. That's there with the A. We follow that wire. It's in 2. We go here and got a T on there for throttle. That's in 3. And R on this one for rudder. That's going to 4. This is the auxiliary wire. It's going into 5. Everything is placed in correct. The motors have been placed in correct. Let me double triple check here. It plugs in, signal inbound, all flush. Now what we do is repeat the same steps. First things first, we turn on the radio. We make sure that it's trimmed, all to center. And what do we see? Trim the center horizontal and vertical on both sides. Okay, next step. Everything's down, no switches are activated. All the trim knobs are normal. Turn it off. We get the battery. We plug her in. We see a red flash, we see blue. We turn the radio on. It's supposed to be searching for it. We wait. And it's supposed to go red after 10 seconds to let me know it's successfully binded. Notice I have not touched the transmitter. No red, just solid blue. I'm waiting. It will not successfully bind, so there's no further steps that I can take. So what I'll do now is notice that we have the other. Now this one was set up and my receiver's on. It works, it's bound, but that isn't. I throttle up, I get nothing. I throttle down, I get nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we turn that off, we unplug you. And then what we do is we replace this board with the other. Now this board I have wired up aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, aux. 5 wires. All same, labeled with tape. Coming from the receiver. Same type receiver. Same channels. Auxiliary here. Pull that back and out the way. I have it labeled aux. On the board, this aux wire is running to the aux position. Here, we go all the way up top front, and we have what should be aileron. We follow that to here. I have it labeled aileron with an A. That runs on the board into aileron. Now coming from this second one should be elevator. Following it up to the tape, we get to the E, elevator. That goes on up and to here, second position. The throttle we follow down until we get to T. It's in the third position. Fourth is rudder with the R, and then auxiliary again here, going into position 5. Now that's receiver properly configured and connected. Let's see what happens when we plug it up to the motors. Now board 1 would not bind, so let's see what happens to board 2. Board 1, receiver out of the way. Board 2, I connect to the power for sensors through the distribution board. I have servo lead wire attached because JST was not available for me. If you follow down, you'll see that the brown or the black goes to brown, red stays red. And I can slot it on there with this servo connector. So keeping it in the same suit, going with the power positive and negative there. Here we go. Red will have to stay on the left, black on the right, or the brown. Plug it in, get it snug. It's on there. Get all of my motor wires out of the way. Check the orientation of the quad. This being the only one with all 3 wires still connected is my front left motor. That'll be in position 1 per instructions. We bring the board in, same one that I just showed all the wiring and everything else on. Receiver up here out of the way. Board there. Get the orientation turned around right. Connect the motors. Motor number 1, front left. White wire or yellow wire to the inside of the board. We connect it in motor 1 position. Number 2 motor is following down behind it right here. That goes in 2 position. White wire to the inside. Motor 3, front right, goes into the 3rd position. Front right, white wire to the inside. Motor 4, here, white wire to the inside, in number 4 position. Now that is my connection for the motors and the receiver and for supplied power. The next thing to do, same thing as before. Turn on the radio. Check again all switches aren't activated in any way. All trims are zeroed down, even there. Everything is set to medium. No trim up or down. That done, flip her off. The next thing, connect the battery. Battery connected. Turn on the remote. We wait. It claims it's looking or whatever. We wait. It says it's supposed to light up solid red and let me know it's properly bound. The only thing that I have properly bound are my receivers. The board will not properly bind. To go a step further, knowing it's not bound, we double and triple check. You're not supposed to hit anything on the remote. Wait 10 seconds. I'm sorry, it's been a lot longer than 10 seconds already. And the board, as I told you in the email, is not binding. Nor is it giving me well, with This one I can say it does at least give some function. It has 3 motors moving, not 4. So I'm guessing the next step with this one is to try and calibrate it properly to act right. I have no clue. But the left front motor is not working and all the others are. I don't get it. Supposed to work on quads, but for whatever reason it's only doing a tricopter setup for one. I don't know. Let me know what's going wrong, because I have no clue. So I need to remove the signal wire out of the first motor too. Let me know, because as you can tell, that board not damaged, just sitting there with a receiver. What you saw before, it wouldn't work. And that one there, yeah, I did 3 motors turning, but not 4. And to calibrate, from what they say, defining the range, supposed to bind first, so I guess it's bound. You go throttle to the max, flip on the gear switch, and with that I'm supposed to have a green light come on to let me know that it's in gear mode or whatever. Switch is in the on position. As you saw before, the board doesn't have a green calibration anything on it. There's the receiver. There's the aux channel. The board itself, nothing on there like that. So we turn that down. We flip that aux switch back off. We check again on the remote. We go settings, aux channel, 5 is gear, so I have that set correctly in the radio. Back out of there. The switch off now. I switch it on now. We look at the board, nothing. It won't go into calibration mode. No green LED anywhere. And just for demonstration purposes, flip the switch on, off, off, on, off, on. No calibration. But at least 3 motors worked on that board. So please help me out and let me know what it is that needs to be done to get all 4 of the motors working like they're supposed to, and this board to do anything other than just light up the wrong color and do nothing else.